And dreams are so very cute, Raven. Funny. Let's hope your incredible mood lasts through the strange human wedding you keep thinking about. Strange, huh? Raven tucked the vial into her pocket again and gave it a reassuring pat before she returned her attention fully to their conversation. That is what I said. Okay, then. Go ahead and explain to me why Dirks and Murphy getting married next weekend is so strange. It's not the who, Raven, merely the what. Leander dipped his wings and lowered their elevation as they soared over the top of Fowler Academy, where it stood a little off the King's Road heading north. She took in the sight of her old mage school from above and smiled. In a little over a month, the academy grounds would be filled with young mage students hoping to learn as much as possible about magic and make a name for themselves. Now, though, the fields of lush grass and the central courtyard surrounded by so many academic buildings were empty. In a moment, the school had rushed past in a blur to fade quickly behind them, and she returned to their conversation about strange human weddings. Well, I wouldn't expect 2 dragons to have a wedding, she added, and tried to stifle a laugh. Because we would never entertain such a ridiculous concept. The young mage drew a deep breath and looked at the white fluffy clouds that skittered across the blue sky not far above them. That's right, because dragons naturally do everything better than humans. You're faster, smarter, so much better at decision-making, including choosing a mate and staying at their side until the very end. No wedding required. Of course not. A low grunt escaped him as they banked on the wind together and soared over the buildings surrounding Brighton's town square. At least you've finally accepted my superiority in every way. She burst out laughing, and the sound was instantly whipped away behind her by the warm, late summer wind. I guess I can't help myself, Dragon. It was bound to happen sooner or later. It should have happened from the start. Raven rolled her eyes and let her laughter settle again before she leaned slightly sideways on her dragon's back. She couldn't help wanting a slightly better view of what lay ahead on the journey they'd traveled together too many times to count. When was the last time we stopped at Moss Ranch? Sorry, I can't keep all the timelines straight in my head. That's what I'm here for, Raven. Leander banked slightly toward the Dragon Ranch owned and operated by William Moss. Almost 2 months. We should stop and see how everyone's doing. I enjoy Tio's company, he replied blandly, at the very least. She didn't have to tell him to turn slightly and head toward the strip of dirt and trampled grass that served as the runway on Moss Ranch for incoming and outgoing dragons. Although William had taken down all the enchantment-secured fencing around the dragon paddock since Magic's return and the arrival of newly hatched dragonettes with magic, everything else looked exactly the same. It seemed even the free dragons who now chose Moss Ranch as a safe place to rest still used the runway the way it had always been used, whether they worked with other dragon riders and trainers or came in riderless. Today, the paddock looked especially full. The small groups dotted the soft grass that slanted slightly uphill toward the ranch house. In these clans, the dragons lay curled in the sun, lounged sleepily beside their neighbors, or ambled across the paddock in 2s or 3s and occasionally uttered a screech of greeting, excitement, or pleasure. A group of adolescent dragonettes flitted, swooped, and dove overhead. They chased each other and tested both their limits and their skills with the inherent magic they'd had since hatching from the egg. The sight made Raven smile. It looks like William's doing well for himself. I hope he feels less overwhelmed these days. 2 newer dragons raised their heads toward the oncoming silhouette of the massive red male and his red-headed rider who swooped toward the runway. They screeched in greeting. Leander echoed the cry, and almost half the other dragons in the paddock joined the brief, ear-splitting conversation. He touched down on the trampled earth and walked nimbly forward out of his flight as he tucked his wings tightly against his back. Before she had a chance to thump her boots onto the dirt, one of William's ranch hands emerged from inside the stables. These, of course, no longer stabled dragons, but had been repurposed into a workshop and space for extra storage. When he saw the visitors, he broke into a jog and waved a hand to catch their attention. Ho there! Welcome to Moss Ranch. Can I help you? Normally, Leander would have simply ambled into the paddock to play with Tio and a few of the other familiar dragons. Today, he surprised Raven.